It is January the 25th, the year 2016, and it has been an insane month. I don't think anything has ever been sane in the past several years, but uh earlier this month, somehow I got a, a vicious malware virus. It was a Trojan, and when it scanned sometimes as two. And I battled this mofo from about Friday to Monday night, and this was weeks ago. And it behaved differently when it was plugged into the internet, and no matter what I did, it would come back. This mofo rewrote my startup. It rewrote my operating system. It destroyed my new video card. I pretty much went to the limits of my knowledge in computer science, and I am not a computer science major. I have a degree in computer animation, which involves computer science. I am not a real true programmer, even though I have learned programming, and I can tell you I suck at it. I am not a hacker. I don't know why people think I am. I am not. And there are just limits to my knowledge in this stuff. My equipment, my everything is very old and obsolete, and I hadn't really had any issues with viruses forever. I don't know how it got through my firewall. I, at one point, finally had 3 different software scanners for spyware, malware, viruses, everything you could think of. The third program, I could have sworn fixed everything, but it rewrote my startup, and it rearranged my restore points, and it eventually just wiped my whole drive. Now, what happened was, at one point I felt like I only had an option to reformat my computer. The virus had other plans. And I was told by a lot of people, because I was under the assumption that if you reformatted your drive, you lost everything. And everybody was like, no, it's still there. You can still get it back. And even I had to go take it to a workshop nearby where I live to get it looked at. And even they were like, oh, we can recover your data. Well, that was bullshit, because it was completely wiped. There was no operating system, there was no startup, there was nothing. It was just empty, like 900 something gigs on there. Okay? So I freaking lost everything. Whatever I didn't have backed up anywhere online or anywhere else, since my DVD-ROM was busted and I couldn't record it or burn it to disk, was just gone. I lost years worth of photography that's irreplaceable, and I'm even talking about, like, I had done like nudes and stuff. It's completely gone. My artwork is completely gone, and I had gigs upon gigs of audio. My whole audio collection, albums, rare stuff, techno, new age, everything. Podcasts. I had evidence, I had documents, I had all kinds of stuff. I had video. Um, all of that is just gone. Completely lost forever. So, I don't know, when it happened, I was kind of, I guess, in shock and in denial, and I kept thinking, like, oh, it's not that bad. It'll be okay. It's bad. Since I haven't had my computer, it really messed with my sleeping cycle. I'm guessing because I must have been through some kind of like shock over it, that it just messed me up in the head or something. And I didn't know how to deal with it. My psoriasis blew the fuck up. It was already pretty bad when it all went down. And then my computer died. and it was definitely a Trojan. In fact, it was actually called Trojan Horse, which is really weird. So yeah, I hate you, motherfucker. Like, you fucking asshole. I hate you. I hate your guts. Um, I've never ever seen a virus this vicious and nasty before in my life. Never, never, ever. And then trying to deal with the people who were at the workshop to repair my computer. That was a weird experience too. Like, they weren't bad guys, but they had a bunch of assumptions about me. First of all, like, I'm kind of getting older and I had like acne and psoriasis explosion on my head. So they didn't really want to talk to me, even though they would seem very friendly and nice and polite. And so they would just sort of cut me off and just sort of send me on my way. They were slightly more talkative, if you want to call it talkative, to my husband, but same thing, like they were sort of curt, not so much curious, like terse, and just sort of like, okay, well, we're going to work on that. They worked on it like 2 weeks. And every time, like, they would tell us something, we'd get there and it would be something else. And I was like, okay. And I think based on my age and my gender, they assumed that I didn't know anything. And also, whenever I was trying to talk about stuff, they'd be like, yeah, I know what that is. Okay. We came back so many times just to try and get my freaking desktop. So, like, I don't have any, like, hate or animosity towards them. I just kind of felt like, I don't know, like, I wish I hadn't, like, made so many assumptions about me. Like, I don't feel like there was any malice in there, and I don't per se think that they were sexist, but they were jumping to conclusions about me. The funny thing is, last week on Thursday was supposed to be the day that I was supposed to pick it up and take it home. Because they went from being like, oh yeah, we can recover everything, to like, oh no, everything's bad. And they said the drive was corrupted or bad. So I went there and they're like, no, there's nothing wrong with the drive. It's just totally empty. And I'm like, okay, so then can we make it work? Because I really don't want to go buy a new computer right now. And he was like, yeah, I could do that. And then he was like trying to negotiate price with me. And I was scared it was going to cost me like $1,000. And I'm like, look, dude, I'm going to put this on my credit card because my husband wants me to. And I want it to work. I want it to be functional, okay? And he's like, okay. And I was like, but you said that you were going to put a new DVD-ROM or new ROM in it, and I don't see it. And he was like, oh, I can throw that in. So when we agreed on the price, it was like $150, because I was afraid. I'm guessing he was afraid that I'd freak out or whatever. But I was like, okay, $150. Fine, because I was scared it was going to be like $500-$600 or whatever, and I was like, oh shit, that doesn't even make any sense, because like I could get a computer for that. So then I had to, come back later, and they're always like not done. But apparently, like, they had a lot of customers. So, I mean, you can go in there and you can just say that they're clearly busy. Although the last few times I went there, they just seemed to be like loafing around and watching Star Wars or something. But whatever. Maybe they were on a break. I don't know. So I go in. So Thursday's supposed to be like the day. I go in and I'm like, okay, it's all set up and everything. And I'm like, and then he starts to talk about like, oh, that if I wanted to upgrade it to Windows 10, because I kept saying I had trouble upgrading it to Windows 10, and they were like, yeah, a lot of people are having trouble with it. Okay. So I was like, well, can I do that? And he was like, okay. Also, like, they would never call me to tell me when stuff was done or to pick stuff up. Whatever. So I'm like, okay, will you do that? And he's like, well, we'll be done in like a few hours or whatever. And I was like, how about I just come back and get it tomorrow? And that would be Friday. So he's like, okay, fine. I'm like, okay, I just want it to be done. Okay. So I'm like, just take your time, just get it done. Okay. Another thing to note is that the day, Thursday, that I went to go do that, I had to go to my daughter's school because she's having issues. And we are sorting that out, and I was very happy and satisfied with how that was going, and I'm coming to like a, I don't know, like a reconciliation with my daughter because she's apparently like struggling and, you know, teenage stuff, whatever. So, I decided that when I went to the school that I was going to put some, like a small amount of makeup on, because I just felt that when I put makeup on, people received me better, especially the way I would do certain kinds of makeup. So I would make sure to sort of emphasize, like, to have like um, eyeliner on and have my brows defined, but just still kind of keep it simple. And I went with more of like a warm look. And so it went really well. And I still had the makeup on when I went to the place to get my computer. And the difference between the way that they regarded me, treated me, spoke to me, gave me more attention, were more attentive to me was like night and day. They were also way more cooperative, because like when I had the makeup on, and I just I noticed that right away because I didn't do anything special like with the way I dressed. It's bitter cold here, and my hair was kind of a mess. But the makeup, wow! So I figured for Friday, I would just wear makeup again, but I would go more red and stronger eye makeup. So I did, and again, whoa, big difference. I also went with more red lipstick. And I noticed that when I talked to them, because he would try, like, I, how can I say this? Like, they would actually talk to me and actually listen to me. But also, I could tell that they realized that they had sort of made wrong assumptions or jumped to conclusions, and I caught them in it. And obviously, they knew better and they had a conscience. Because somebody who doesn't have a conscience, which I've dealt with a number of times this month, would react badly. Well, they didn't have a bad reaction. They were just sort of like, "Oh shit, yeah, I'm being a jerk," and okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore. So I asked him. I said, "Okay, is this right? Is that right?" Da, da, da. And he's like, "Yeah, everything's fine." I'm like, "Okay, good." So I paid for everything, but same thing. Like I had to. This still wasn't done. There was some stuff. I'm like, fine. Then this happened like 2 more times. So basically, I finally picked up the computer. I had it in my hand. I was holding it. I carried it to my car, minivan, whatever. And I was with my husband, and I put it in there, and I didn't want it to be like sliding around or whatever. And I was like, also I have there's a computer pad there, like a Galaxy pad that's still being like worked on because I just haven't gotten the battery in to replace that, and that's for my daughter. And I had this feeling like I should look at it and inspect it. And it's like this sort of like intuitive feeling like I should, you know, do that. And I did, and I noticed right away my video card was missing. Okay, let me explain to you what this is. So this is an NVIDIA, and this is a GeForce. This is the highest, most advanced, latest version in this series, which they don't make anymore. But when the first one that I had was one of the second or third versions in the series, and it was the highest, best model in like 2009, which I think might have been created in 08. But in 2009 I bought it, and I bought it because of my brother who worked at CDW. He was some kind of executive manager or sales guy, whatever, hotshot, and that was before he went to the pen. Let's just call it that. And so that kind of wore out over the years. And I do have some knowledge about how to use these things more than just average. I do update them, and I am up to speed with it. And I use something called SpeedFan, which is something probably programmers know more about. I'm not a programmer, not the best user of this thing, but I use it in the basic manner, and it helps to regulate the temperature of stuff. So this was new. New in that it had never been used. I bought it when this came out. This probably was anywhere from like $800 or $900 to like over $1,000. So it's not cheap. It's high end. It's fucking NVIDIA. Okay, see, NVIDIA. Okay. It's also pretty heavy. So I got it in like September. So yeah. So it's not worn out or anything. And I was like, yo, where's my video card? So I walked in. Here you can see this GeForce right there. I walked in and I was like, yo, where's my video card, dude? And they're like, oh shit, she caught us. Like, I don't, you know. So where's my freaking video card? And they're like, oh, we threw it away. I'm like, okay, I was not told this. Right? Because I bought this, I think I spent like 80 bucks on it, $90 on it, which is a really good price. But that's still like $90. I bought this in the summer. I got it like in September. It was like around, you know, one of those holidays towards the end of the year. What is it, Memorial Day or Labor Day or something like that. So I want it back. They're like, oh, well, it's busted. I'm like, okay, well, can I have it back? It's mine. And then he was like, well, it has a video card in the computer. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but that one sucks. That's why I have this one. Because I talked to them about like graphics and photography and video. And I'm like, that's why I have this. I'm like, what do you think I was doing? Playing games on it? Like, I got this for the graphics. Okay. And then he's like, well, it still works, the other one. I'm like, yeah, but I can't plug it into my screen. The monitor that I have for my computer, the cable doesn't, like, see this? Do you see this? This is a dual screen. That's why I bought this. The newer versions, I couldn't find them with dual screens, and they were like $3 grand. And I was like, hell no, I'm gonna get, like, I'll just get an older version, which is the same series of the old one that I have, but the highest model in that series, and save myself a lot of money because my computer is old anyway. And I told him that. And it was pretty like obvious. He was starting to realize, yeah, this chick actually knows tech a bit. And I'm like, look, there's limits to what I do now, but I'm not an idiot. Okay. And so he was like, well, it's a standard cable. I'm like, look, I don't have money. I just spent $150. I don't have money to be doing, you know, whatever. So then he's like, okay, how about this? I have a video card I can give you that you could use the screen on. He's like, I'll try and find the one you have because he could not find it anywhere. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, can you format that for me? And he's like, fine. So I had to go home again, wait a while, then come back. He put the new video card on it, and it's an NVIDIA. It's an older model. It's I forgot which. It's not GeForce though. It's like a 3D rendering one. It's okay. I think it's like a 2006 one or whatever. I just right now need my computer to work because I need my computer. I need to retype up a resume. There's like a ton of things that happen. So anyway, since I have been like having a weird sleep cycle or whatever, I finally got my computer back and I was like all into it and trying to update it. And thank goodness I use Firefox because it remembered like because I signed into it and it synced. Oh, thank goodness I was smart enough to do that. Like, I just did that a few years ago without even thinking. I never thought that there was a reason to this. Like, oh yeah, you know, if you lose your computer or whatever, like, it could back stuff up. Well, apparently it did. It apparently remembered everything. It remembered my tweet deck. It remembered a lot of passwords, a lot of my accounts. It thankfully, oh my gosh, thank you, Firefox. So I had that, and that's good. What else? Oh, I got these LED things. This is another thing. So I got these LED strings. This one is actually red, but I think the battery is kind of out. I don't really have enough batteries. But I had this gift card from Kohl's, which is Kohl's around here somewhere, and it was $10, and it was through Ebates, and I've been kind of raving about Ebates because it's like really too good to be true, but it's really true. And not only did I actually get a check from them, I got from Ebates, but I got this gift card for $10 at Kohl's, and ironically, I had been through something not very good at Kohl's. But I knew they still had these strings of lights for whatever decorations and so on, and they sold out on the website. But I knew the Kohl's and Derby Street still had some in their clearance stuff if you wanted to, you know, sort through everything. And I pretty much remembered where they were. I was just kind of worried that they would get sold out or whatever, because the clearance section there is cheap as hell. So Mr. Wong kept delaying, and he kept promising that he would let me go, and he always had an excuse. And then finally I was like, no, I want to go to Kohl's, and I know what I want, and I want to spend my gift card. And then he kept imagining that I was going to like use my credit card, like I'm some kind of brainless shopping spree person, even though I did have a shopping spree this year for once in my life. But it wasn't that ridiculous. It was stuff I needed, like this video card. Anyway, so I found them. One of them's red, one of them's white. It's just too bad that the red doesn't show up very well right now. It's definitely a battery issue. So I brought them home. Not only that, I actually got, like at Kohl's on your gift cards, if you have money left on the card, like small money, especially like apparently in the $10 gift cards, they will actually give you the money back, whatever's left, in cash. So this whole thing, it was like a lot of things that orders that got botched through Ebates and my ordering on the different websites, like Pier 1, which ended up getting me 2 lanterns, and the double botched order with Sephora. I got paid for those in the Ebates, and Ebates gave me $10 from Kohl's, and then Kohl's actually just gave me $1. Plus, I had a coupon, and everything was already cheap and on sale. And I'm having like this on sale theme happening with lanterns lately. So there it is. I have $1 in my wallet, and I was very happy about that. Despite all the crazy things that have happened this month, and there was lots of them, there was also a lot of good things that happened. It's like dumb luck kind of a thing. So I have actually, you know what? Mr. Wong was like so moody and against me getting the lights. He did not understand it. I told him like that I saved money and that I got $1 back in cash. And you know, he's a businessman like me, so that's kind of like wow. But I thought he'd be like, oh wow. And he's like, whatever, I don't care. Well, when I came home and I unwrapped it, and took it out of the packages and everything, the battery pack is like, you have to unscrew it. So I needed him to help me with it, and he was not happy about that. And when I finally plugged it, turned it on, turned the button on or whatever, and then I put it in the first lantern, his attitude completely changed. All of a sudden he was like it clicked in his head, like, oh, that's what she's doing. You know, and then he did the other one, and then I put it in there, and then he was like, oh, you should put it on the coffee table. And then all of a sudden he kept coming out and talking about how pretty it was, when before he kept acting like I was a weirdo and I don't know what you're doing. What are you doing? That's stupid, right? Same thing with the lanterns. Like his attitude was like he didn't want me to get them. He hated them. And then it was broken. He wanted to like be a jerk to me about it's broken. You spent your money. You wasted your money. Then I got another one. And all of a sudden he was like, you know, we could get you some glass for that broken one. And he actually now is actively looking for like glass that he could cut himself or get a glass cutter or whatever. I don't know. Mr. Wong has like some severe stress issues lately. In fact, I feel like everyone does. It's not just me. Like my daughter has severe psoriasis right now, and he gets moody, so I have to take care of him so that he doesn't I don't know, hurt himself. He has all kinds of issues, and I know they're stress related. So whatever, we're family. And those are my lanterns. Anyway, I lost all of my photography. What the hell is going on with my phone over here? I lost all of my photography, but I still did some photography, and I still had my photography from Christmas. Luckily, still on my camera, and I never imported it to my computer, so I never lost it. So that was still on my camera. I've just now imported it to my computer, and it is on Flickr right now. So if you want to see some of my photography of my lanterns or my Christmas presents, whatever, they're not the best photography type photos of my Christmas stuff. But the lanterns, because we had some snowstorms, blizzards recently, at least two. I shot at night because I'm having sleep issues. It's not insomnia, it's just that I'm not sleeping in sync with the cycle of the day. I fall asleep in the afternoon, or I go into some deep meditative trance or something. So there's that. I've also had interactions with a number of very sexist individuals. I didn't know what was going on with that. I found out about stuff. I remember what gaslighting was before. I found out about that a lot in more detail right now, and remembered stuff that I learned about it before years ago. Then I found out about something called pickup culture, or PUAs, pickup artists. If you care about women, if you love women, if you don't like dishonest people, you really need to look into this, because it's really dangerous stuff. It's like even criminal. There was this guy who he made a video and he called it a rant about pickup culture, or PUAs, pickup artists. It's not really a rant, it's like a lecture he did. He's kind of bald. Wow, he really like lays it out. And then I was also looking into Neoplatonism, which is a philosophy type thing. I want to look more into that. And even though I have already read the Bible a number of times already, back to front, I'm still re-going through that again. I'm going through Joshua right now, off and on. It's really creepy. Creepy shit, weird shit, doesn't make sense sometimes, but there it is. And I want you to be aware of people who are these, like, okay, there's something called an addictive personality, and it can be for anything. Addictive personalities are a certain personality type, and it can be for anything, whether it's drugs or gambling or abusive behavior, like manipulative stuff, like gaslighting. Um, I have seen this myself in so-called spiritual circles, communities, whatever. And there are some people who become so addicted to the concepts. They think they're better than others. It's like a narcissism. And they become so obsessed with meditation stuff that they become like deadbeat parents, deadbeat dads, deadbeat you see this more with men than women, a lot more. Negligent, neglectful. They'll completely like divorce their family because they think they're being spiritual and they're better than everybody, and that their family doesn't understand them. When it's obviously they're trying to fill some kind of void that they're not being fulfilled in some way, and they think that by addictively meditating or trancing or spacing out that's going to fill it up. And you can get very high doing meditation. I know, because I did all different kinds of meditation. Just breathing, you can get like very euphoric. There's stretches that I've done, but there's a point where, like, if it's interfering with the rest of your life, you have a problem. Okay, there's this huge trend right now, and I want people to be aware of it, is that there's this notion that, like, if you go within and you listen to your inner self or to source or something, that trumps everything else, and whatever. Now, if you're the kind of person, like, if you're going through your life and you already know something inside, like you have a conscience and you know something isn't right, and you have that like inner voice or inner self, and it's like you feel like you're dying inside and you're ignoring that inner thing, then you should listen to that inner self of you. But if you are obsessed with this inner thing of you and the voices in your head are telling you, you're awesome and you're better than everybody and you know everything and anything that's logical or scientific or education is all wrong and you're right because you thought so and the voices told me, then you have an issue. You have a problem. You really need some kind of counseling or therapy, or there's some pain or something that you need to really get to the bottom of. And I feel like for meditating, if you're not getting in touch with whatever that issue is and reconciling it, then you're probably just delusional, or you're just spacing out. You're just getting high off of the concept of I'm levels above people. If you're obsessed with being levels above things or leveling up or this meritocracy nonsense, you have a problem. And I'm noticing this happened like this week or last week actually, where there's this very popular fan page on Facebook. It's called Raising Ecstasy, which is very much a feeling. Think about it. Ecstasy is a kind of a euphoric thing. It's a feeling thing, an emotion thing, a state of. Let's keep it real. It's a feeling. It's a emotion. It's a sensory experience. Okay. It's usually a lot of appropriated Eastern type stuff or feel good type stuff or images, and they would share it, and a lot of it's good, but then they started sharing like certain exercise things and certain other things, fine, but when I notice something that's not true, because people just they like it or they think it sounds good and they'll repeat it, and I've done this myself. You don't realize what you're doing. You didn't check the facts, or you didn't check into it. I'm totally guilty of that. And so they'd share something and I refuted it, and I was like, no, because actually this comes from philosophy and that's philosophy and da da da. Philosophy itself is the love of wisdom. That's what it means. Philosophia or philosophia, philosophy. There you go. I confused it with Philadelphia. Philadelphia, which is city of brotherly love. They posted a video and it was by freaking Osho, which I could go on and on about. I don't know what it is about this guy that sort of resonates with these like faux spiritual yuppies. Because his stuff is just like he just blurts stuff out and he never has like a coherent flow of things. He just sort of tangents here and blurts stuff out there. I mean, the I Ching makes more sense than that. Let's not get into that, but it was a video, it was anti-philosophy. And I was like, oh no, you didn't. So I refuted it. And I made a really good case. I was very nice, very mild, very compelling, cogent, light. And I made the case, and it is the study of wisdom. You need to understand like where philosophy came from. Even the term spirituality and the terms that they glommed onto and appropriated and repurposed for various things which have sort of been abused in religions and stuff, came from philosophers. Pretty much anything and everything that you can think of that you think is quote unquote spiritual, even that word itself, came from philosophers. Whether it's the Socrates or the pre-Socratics, and then there was things like the sophists, and so on. So I made that point. I even talked about like the word enlightenment, the Dark Ages, the Academy, stuff like that. Now the person actually clicked like, But then she put he or she put a comment replying to me, and it was some quote from Eckhart Tolle about how they only get information from within. Now that is pretty telling, because first of all, I even refuted the video, the Osho. The only reason that Osho wouldn't like philosophy is because he's selling stuff. He's a guru and he wants people's money, whether he's conscious or unconsciously aware of his motive. But he is, and he has or he had a prominence, or like an elevated, like, I'm above you and you come to me for, except he never actually answered people's questions. He would just blah, like, you'd ask him about some problem you have and he'd go, love and this, and then the rainbow, and love and time. Like, he just would never, like, it was like he was like, oh, stupid foreigners, let me just, like, his English sucked. He would just blurt some stuff. Like, it was like he didn't know what to even say. So he'd just be like, I'll just blurt something out, and then people would just be like, wow, that's so awesome, amazing. Like, I don't know what the hell what you see, because it's bunk to me. There's a lot of times, like, because if you actually thought anything out, you'd realize what he was doing. And if you were an actual philosopher, you could use the Socratic method, reductio ad absurdum, rigor, any of these simple methods to get to an epistemology of understanding, what is good, how do you know what's good, what is goodness, what is love, what are ideas, what is language, what are words, like all these basic simple things. And in asking the questions, you come to sort of, you can condense things down into what they actually are, or then there's like the Platonic forms and numbers and concepts and ideas, and it's all very interesting. But if you were against that, it's because you don't want people to find the flaws or find that you had been deceiving them, or he actually believed his own delusion or his own stuff about it. So, and I've seen this quite a bit. Also with the investment stuff, there are these people who still keep talking, like they're making these predictions, and I've seen all these predictions have come and gone. People who call themselves like remote viewers or channelers, and then first of all, like I've said this before, if you really are channeling something, why would you believe it? Why would you listen to them? See, you need an epistemology right there. Like, why would you listen to them? And then when they tell you things and they don't come true, why do you still listen to them? Like, it's like a bad, abusive relationship. Either that, or, it could just be a delusion or a fantasy that's kind of gone wild. People don't like to hear that. I've had some pretty weird experiences myself, but I think questioning it is a healthy thing to do, because I can't prove any of it. I can't, and I don't know why it's one way or the other. I just find that very questionable. Like, why would you listen to some disembodied entity in your head, or why would you listen to voices in your head, or why would you believe, like, especially like when the voices are telling you you're so awesome and you're chosen? Why do they need to choose you? Why do they need you? Or deities, like, why does a deity need a human to do shit? Why can't the deity do it? Like, there's so many fallacies in this, there's so many issues with this kind of stuff, and it's just sort of glaringly obvious. There was also like this one Intel thing I was listening to, and this chick was trying to say that she channeled this president. And if you had actually ever done any real research on a number of presidents, specifically ones that were assassinated, you could see that this was just obviously her fantasy gone wild, or maybe she's schizophrenic. I've seen this happen more times than I would care to admit, and it really maybe it is a good thing that I ran into this kind of bad stuff because it really made me question my own ethics and, what do I really believe in and how do I know? Because I really didn't know. And I think being Socratic as a philosopher, the best thing to do is to just admit that you don't know everything and you don't have all the answers. There's a quote, um, an an unanswered question is always better than an unquestioned answer. And I pretty much hold to that. There's a lot of things that I kind of hold to. Um, I really want to see this whole libertarian neoliberalism, neocon type, selfish driven, egotistical, sexist, xenophobic, prejudice type mentality, which is so prevalent right now, just go away and die off for once. But I don't know. But I'm starting to see, or not starting, I have already been on this kind of stint, so to speak, that I still, not only do I still feel that the solutions to the problems going on are in philosophy, but I really more and more understand that it is. I feel like there is a lot more that I know that I didn't realize that I knew, not to be like a show off or anything. But I just didn't admit it to myself. And there are so many things that you can apply it to. I feel like people have a lot of assumptions about philosophy that are incorrect. They'll say stuff like, oh, philosophy is only good after the fact. You can't do anything useful with philosophy until after something happens. I don't agree with that at all. I do not agree with that at all. There's so many systems of world governments and ways of living that anticipate certain things and how to deal with them, how to examine issues, how to critical think, engineering. So I don't think that is a fair or informed conclusion at all. There's actually so many things that I could talk about that have gone on this month. I don't even think I could fit it into this whole video, but I'm gonna just end this video now and put it out there. And I don't know why I can't see the lights in this one lantern here very well, but that's okay. I can just put new batteries in it some other day if I ever get any. So there you go.